44 years ago, in 1978, 80% of China's population lived in the rural areas. They literally used sticks, straw, to not only cook their food, but to heat their homes. Today, China leads the world in renewable energy. It is at the forefront of trying to create a greener and better life. But it didn't come easily. One of the most important watershed moments was 2008, when China hosted the 2008 Beijing Summer Olympics. What was special about it is the Chinese government moved a lot of industry out of the Beijing area, resulting in what they called Beijing Blue. All of a sudden, people discovered the blue skies, clean air, and it was an example to the entire nation that with the will, with the expense, it was possible to make a better environment. And since that time, China has been absolutely dedicated to figuring out how it will bring Beijing Blue not only to Beijing, but to all of China and the rest of the world. And that means not only doing things domestically, but also internationally. And China has been leading by example. It has not withdrawn from any of the climate accords that it has agreed to. In fact, China has actually delivered more than it promised already, and is now taking on even more ambitious goals, as China has committed to having peak carbon emission by 2030 and carbon neutrality by 2060. Given how large China is, this is not a small commitment, and China has stepped up. The estimate is 35 trillion renminbi, which will be put into this effort to change not only the source of energy, but the efficiency of which it's used. This has made China stand out as the country that walks the walk, not talks the talk. From policy to implementation, it's never quite smooth. And I'll give you a recent example. In China, there was an energy crunch, due in part to the fact that energy spiked in terms of price, and second, a number of policies that had been implemented in order to follow the green path that China wanted to pursue were a little bit premature. How did the government take care of it? It was all solved in less than 3 weeks. Factories were back to work, people were back to work, and it has now become a non-issue. But what does that mean? A lot of people were saying, oh my goodness, China has abandoned its goals. Nonsense. It simply means that China will adjust in the future to make sure that they do in fact meet these goals. And there's also another part, a hypocrisy which really is hard to understand. Many developed countries, Europe and the United States included, talk about how they are addressing climate change by reducing their carbon footprint. But these are the very same nations whose factories, the factories their companies own, that produce not only in China, but in other places, Africa, Asia, all the places that they accuse of not paying attention to the carbon footprint. Well, if you order a dryer or a washer or a car and it's made somewhere else, you are the one who's consuming and creating this carbon footprint. Don't blame it on these other nations. America, which literally has 2 times the carbon footprint per person as somebody in China. China is constantly being blamed for things that the US refuses to even address. In the end, China can only do what it has control of. In order to address climate change, China has to work with the rest of the world, and that means the rest of the world has to work with China. This is not an issue about one country. It is a boat in which we are all in and in which we must row together, not throw constant criticisms and be hypocritical about exactly what each country is doing. This is a situation which requires leadership, and China, if allowed, will provide it.